Greetings, Alafia. I am Tyra Omilade, your goddess guru, your sister friend. And you know I love helping women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess centered lifestyle. And today I want to begin to share with you a little bit about the Ileke initiation that I will be leading soon. I want to tell you a little bit about me, a little bit about the process, and invite you in if you are interested in joining as a devotee, Aborisha in the Orisha tradition. Join me on this journey. All righty. Yeah, so I just thought I'd bring a little of the bata drumming in. Bata drumming is very much a part of the Orisha tradition, especially when we go into the tradition as it is in Cuba. At least that's what I know the most in terms of Orisha dance. It is the dances of Cuba. So, yeah, I am excited to share with you all today. I am doing something that I actually never thought that I would do, and that is take people through. Well, let me not say I never thought I'd do because I have had some ladies who wanted to get their ilekes, and I thought, you know what? I'll do it. So yeah, I am taking people through. I think I'm doing it in a way that I didn't quite anticipate, where it's like I'm opening the doors. It's not just something that I'm doing with the coachee, and inviting a group in and being the main leader. And yeah, and I just want to give y'all a little bit about what's happening. This is my way of helping you to understand what this is about. I want you to, for those who are interested, I want you to make a decision about is this for you or not for you, because that's what we do when we have, I mean, I have to be honest, I have a spiritual business, is you have to help people understand, is this for them or is this not for them? And so I want everyone to be super clear, and I want people to understand who I am, how I roll, and that way you can feel like, yes, you're making the right decision if this is for you. That's very, very important. And part of that is me sharing a little bit about what I'm doing and a little bit about my journey. So just to give you the long and short of what is happening when people want to become a part of the, I call it the Ifa Orisha tradition. It is out of Nigeria. A lot of times it is associated with the Yoruba people. It looks like Yoruba, but it's Yoruba. And so the language is Yoruba, we have to translate it from Yoruba. This is definitely of that culture. And a lot of us African Americans, Afros in the diaspora, wherever you are, or however you have your Afro blood, we do have Nigerian blood. It's just a lot of us over here with Nigerian blood because a lot of our ancestors were brought from Nigeria to the Americas. And by the same token, if we aren't raised in that Yoruba tradition, there is a little bit of a challenge to be calling this the Yoruba religion. I will give the Yoruba people credit. I have Yoruba. Well, I don't know if it's Yoruba, but I know Nigerian blood. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I think it is important for us to uh, understand that this is a tradition that is for the world, because if it was not, it would not have survived the ancestors who brought it over here and survived as Lukumi, Santeria, Candomblé, and other versions of this tradition that are here in the diaspora. Okay. And then both all of those traditions made their way up here to us in the United States. So if this was supposed to just be for the Yoruba people, then none of us would be, dealing with this religion or wanting to be a part of it. We would not know much about it, more than likely. So I like to call it Ifa Orisha tradition. Ifa is the wisdom. Ifa is it now. If we're talking about Ifa versus Santeria, Candomblé, then yeah, Ifa really and truly will describe this version of the spiritual tradition. So Orisha, because you're not initiating into Ifa, it can be so complicated. I listen to people talk. I've been listening to more videos of people talking from different vantage points. And there's so much qualification that we do because we know how people would get on you if you say anything that they think is wrong. So y'all gonna notice me get sometimes a little bit of an attitude. You hear me trying to explain things to the nth degree because it's just so much out on the internet. There's so many opinions and things like that. But I do think it's important for people to understand the Ileke initiation does connect you to the Orisha, which everyone on the face of the planet are connected to the Orisha because the Orisha are nature. They're forces of nature. This is a nature-based, earth-based spiritual tradition. I'm making this recording on April the 22nd, Earth Day. So, yeah, part of the reason I waited to this time outside of I just do not launch during retrogrades is because I wanted to start all of this during Taurus season, connecting to the earth. So the Orisha are everywhere. We're connected to the Orisha naturally. But the Elekes are these necklaces, these beaded necklaces that we wear. And it's the first step that you take when you're coming into this tradition. And you're connected to 5 Orisha, Eshu Alegua, Obatala, Heru, Oshun, Yemoja. Yemaya is how they say it in the diaspora a lot of times. So you are connecting to the Orisha, and it's a way for you to get started. You want to get a good foundation, and I call it an initiation. So you're going to hear me qualify a lot, and that is because I know people will be listening who maybe they have a different opinion. So there is Ifa in Nigeria, and then there's Ifa in the diaspora. Okay. And Ifa in the diaspora cannot be like Ifa in Africa. And that is because the way this tradition came, these Orisha made sure that the tradition stayed alive. But how can something be the same when it's thousands upon thousands of miles away from where it was born, and it's being lived through a people who have a very different experience than those who are on the motherland and where this was born from. So, no, there may not be Aleka initiations in Africa because maybe they didn't need them. But my position is we have, especially those of us in the United States, we Black folks in the United States, we were just so much taken away from us, so much wiped away from us. Most of us are afraid to even be a part of our African spirituality. We will reclaim the history. We will reclaim so many other parts of the culture, such as the drumming and the dance. We'll reclaim the clothing, some of the language, but we won't reclaim the spiritual tradition. I find that to be fascinating. And that's because it's so empowering. It is so empowering, but it was taken from us so much so we are so consciously disconnected that I think it is a beautiful thing to consider having an Eleke initiation. And what is an initiation? It's a beginning. The reason people get hung up on this word with initiation, I just want to give this to you. The reason people get hung up on it is because they look at initiation as you become a priest or a priestess. But initiation can be anything, okay? An initiation, just because it's not something that's done widespread in Africa, doesn't mean that we can't have this here in the United States, because quite frankly, what they do in Africa is whatever they want to. They don't have any one way of doing Ifa in Africa. So why should we? And we need Ifa. We need an initiation into Ifa because we need to be given a good start. And part of what I'm doing is creating an experience so that you get a good start, a good foundation in becoming what is called Aborisha. When you first start, you are Aborisha. And so Aborisha need, especially those of us who aren't raised up in this tradition, have a lot of questions. And there's so much information on the internet. You can easily get confused. I bet a lot of y'all who've been waiting to get your initiation or get your Ilekes, you have been looking on the internet. You see, one person will say one thing, another one will say another thing. And, it's just it feels like sometimes it's like, what the what, right? It can be so confusing. And so I want to give people the opportunity to step onto the Aborisha path, become a devotee within this. I call it a religion. I really do, because people are going to put respect. I don't want to really be a part of a religion. I have to be honest with you. But when it comes to this Ifa tradition, Santeria, Lukumi, Candomblé, baby, we're gonna call this a religion. Give us our days off, just like all these other religions get their days off, and people are gonna put respect on Africa, right? So a lot of times you hear me call it spiritual tradition, but I see this as a certified bona fide religion, though it is one of the most loosely coordinated religions, I've ever been a part of. And so, yes, you wanna get a good start. You don't wanna be super confused. That's what a lot of people end up feeling like. You get your Elekes, folks will give you Elekes, and then you're just like, "And now what?" Right? A lot of times people are part of a family. It's called an Egbe or an Ile, and it's a group. It's like a church or a temple, a mosque or something like that. You're a part of it and you get to learn and understand some things. Well, I'm doing this virtually. I never ever plan on having an Egbe, even though I'm sure it will be an unofficial one. But I don't plan on, this is not my lead thing. I am goddess, okay? I lead with goddess. But I just know I need to make sure I do my part to get people, reconnected to their roots. And I have to be honest, probably 95% of the people who I work with are women of color, especially Black women. It's just how it is. Black women chose me. um, and there are other people who have chosen to work with me too, other women, maybe they're white, Asian, for me, the women of color, Latinos, most of them are melanated. So, they may not be African American, but they're definitely Afro, even though they're Afro Latina. Um, so I work with everybody. I have helped people, a few people who aren't just Black women, get their leques. And so I want to be very upfront and honest about everything. When VP Harris lost that presidential bid, I thought, okay, it's time for me to make sure that I help as many Black people, and it's going to be Black women. I'm sorry, that's just who I work with. Help as many Black women get their leques as is possible, not get their leques and come into this tradition as is possible, because I'm gonna need for us to be using these tools of EFI to protect our families. I'm being 100. And it's very few people who aren't melanated that talk to me about initiating. So you're welcome. Now I do have, Latinos, maybe some who are a little bit lighter complected, but I work with a lot of Latinos, okay? But and it's a part of Latino culture. I just need everybody to understand, honestly, I'm doing this to help Black women, Latino women get suited up spiritually. There may be women out there who, want their leques. You've worked with me before and, you wanna get your leques and you don't fall in one of those categories, and that is perfectly okay. All right. But this is really what made me say, okay, I got to do this. I really believe that we can call on our ancestors and, we can do that. But even still, sometimes we just need a little bit of help doing it, you know? It is nice to have I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I want to help people get the Elekes. I want to help women get their Elekes. I want to help you get to the warriors at the very least. And after that, we'll have to talk about it because I would have to work with the Babalao to go past that. And I do have a Babalao friend that I could do that with. But anywho, the reason I'm saying all of that is it's nice to have spiritual implements. It's nice to have this religion because to me it helps to connect us to a tradition that most of us are not connected to, and that's the hoodoo tradition, which is very African American. So we need to be getting back to that. We need to be protecting ourselves. We need to be protecting our families. The other thing, and I'll talk a little bit about this in another recording, is we need healing. We need some serious, serious healing. My teacher, Baba G, taught me the Orisha for the United States is the Egun. Who are the Egun? The Egun are the ancestors. We have to heal our ancestral lineage. And I believe any Afro tradition can help us as Black people, African Americans, melanated people. Any of these traditions can help us. We have my sisters out of Puerto Rico, the Taino tradition. Any of these can support us and help us. I really want us to understand that. But baby, we need these traditions because they help bridge something that's missing in our consciousness, and they help us to heal our ancestral lineage through us, through our own selves. We got to get it healed up in us, and the healing in us goes back to heal our ancestors. So that's another reason. I want us to have the protection, but I also want us to have the healing because my experience with this tradition is that it made me feel like I'm normal. It helped me to feel whole. This is not you're just going to magically be fixed tradition, but moving out of a tradition. I was raised up in Christianity with talking about sin and being a sinner, and then this Eve is the fall of man. All of that, it made me feel horrible. I still to this day remember, I was raised up Catholic, but I started going to Baptist church, Black Baptist church, and I would hear them talk about, "You're just a dirty, filthy rag." I was like, "Oh my God, I can't be a part of this because I already feel like a dirty, filthy rag." And there's nothing about what you're saying to me about being so horrible, somebody had to die for me, that makes me feel like everything is okay, you know? So once I came over into the Orisha tradition, it helped me to see the world in a whole new way. It helped me to understand myself in a whole new way. And another thing too was I used to feel so lonely. And then once I became a part of the Orisha tradition, I did not feel that way anymore. And so because it's like I walk with my ancestors. My ancestors are my greatest cheerleaders, my greatest supporters, and I understand um, I have an Orisha. I have 2 Orisha. In the, um, diaspora, you'll be given a mother and a father Orisha. In Ifa, in Yoruba land, your family is a part of an Orisha, and it's just what you're raised up in. It's kind of like being a part of a church. I will say a lot of times when you meet people who are from that part of the world, they don't want nothing to do with Ifa. You gotta find the ones over there that are practicing it, that are good with it. Um, but, the ones who are practicing, they don't have the mother and the father over there, but I do here. I have Yamaja. She is my guardian Orisha. She's the Orisha that I'm initiated into, and then I have Shango, who is my father, And yeah, they they both I'm those. I am those. You'll learn in the if you join me on this path, you'll learn about how I was told I was something else before I went through my Orisha initiation. Just to let you know, I found this tradition while my husband was in law school. We had a friend who had a book, and the books, it was a, I can't think of the name of this book. I know it's by this man named Philip Neimark. And I'm not gonna say I would recommend buying the book. I'm just being honest. Like, y'all, I'm sorry. I'm in my just be honest, be real. I'd like to be, what is the word? Like an ambassador and very elegant. The word is not coming to me. But anywho, y'all know what I'm saying. But right now, all I can be is honest. So uh The Way of the Orisha, I think was the name of the book. And I was like, huh. Actually, Iyanla introduced me to it, but she didn't call it Ifa. She was the first one through her book, um, Tapping the Power Within. And then shortly thereafter, I found my friend had this book, The Way of the Orisha by Philip Neimark, or something like that. And then I went to a sweat lodge, and that's where I met my godmother and godfather. In this tradition, we call the leaders, or the priests and the priestesses, Iya, Baba, typically in the Santeria Lukumi, um, Candomblé. They might have different names. I know I've heard something like Madrina, maybe, and Padrino. But in this, what we call ours, Iya and Baba. So, but we also call them godparents. So I met my godparents, and that was 2001. Got my Ilekes 2002, and yeah, let's see here, 2002, I initiated as a priestess of Yemoja 2014. And yeah, and then of course, you have to between those get your warriors. I think I got my warriors like 2008, something like that. My hand of Ifa, these are all spiritual processes like getting the Elekes that you go through. They don't really call them initiations, but it is an initiation, to be honest with you, because it's like you're going into a new leg. You now have received, it's like you walk through a new door, and a little bit more is open to you, okay? And it's like you have access to more tools to a certain degree. So yeah, I did all of those in between. And so yeah, I've been on this path as officially since 2002. And yeah, I think that's what I'm going to share with you all in this recording. And I will be sharing a little bit more as we go along. At some point, you'll see a link to a page that will have all of the replays there. I hope to set up a time where we can get on Zoom or a webinar. I'll put it that way. And you can interact with me, ask me questions. Maybe I can do some nice ritual work with you all to give you a little bit of a taste of the spiritual tradition. And also, my goal is to let you all know a little bit more about what this initiation is going to be all about. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. And as you get questions, don't hesitate to drop them in the you can drop them in the comments, or you can email me. You can email me if you I don't like putting my email on YouTube, but you could always find it on my website, or if you get my newsletter, just reply to one of the messages that I've sent to you to ask me whatever questions you have. And more than likely, I will answer the question publicly. So, hopefully it's just something general, and I will answer it publicly because more than likely someone else has the same question. All right. Thank you. And yeah. I appreciate you and connect with you soon.